Hello, good morning, students. Today I am going to start the topic of vertical stresses. So, before I start the topic, I would like to revise something and recall something. In Unit 1, we all people have to cover the infinite slope, certain derivation of infinite slopes for the C5 soil, and for finite slopes, you have to go through friction circle method, Bishop method, and Swedish circle method. Also go through Taylor's stability number. Uh, After that, try to go through some case histories related to slope protection measures. I will let you some good books also. For theory part, B.C. Punamiya is very good, and for numerical part, you can go for C. Venkatramaiah. You can go through if you are interested to learn the topic in a depth. You should go through NPTEL videos also, which has been provided by me in the WhatsApp group. So now I will start vertical stresses topic. So these are some reference books. Brajam Das, Principle of Geotechnical Engineering, 8th edition, Science Learning, ISBN J. Canapet and RF3. If you are interested, you can go through these books also. You will get these books on Script app also. And in Unit 2, we have covered bearing capacity of soil also. In bearing capacity of soil, we have gone through the simple definition of net bearing pressure, gross bearing pressure, and all those things. After that, we have covered shear failure criteria, general shear failure criteria, local shear failure criteria, and punching shear failure criteria. After that, we have covered certain empirical methods to determine the bearing capacities, like Terzaghi bearing capacity, and how we determine Terzaghi bearing capacity factor NC, NQ, and N gamma for different shape and size of footings like circular, rectangular, and square footing. We have got different formulas for those bearing capacity. We should solve the numerical problem on those formulas. After that, I have covered Brinch-Hansen bearing capacity formulas, and you have seen in that formula we have included the inclination factor, depth factor, shape factor also. So you should go through the numerical. Once you will go through the numerical problems associated with these problems, you will try to know many field application related to those things. And I have also shared some numerical problem in the WhatsApp group. Those numerical problem has been previously came in good competitive exams like engineering services and GATE. So you should solve those problems and try to bring in your mind the practical field application of bearing capacity of the soil. After that, few methods I have not discussed, but you can get those methods in books very easily, like Meyerhoff's method, Basic's method, IS code method to determine the these are the empirical method to determine the bearing capacity of the soil. Secondly, I have the most important thing after that is effect of water table on the bearing capacity, effect of inclination on bearing capacity. You can also go through, if you are interested in learning something, you will go through bearing capacity of the layered soil, bearing capacity on the slope. After that, I have covered the field methods to determine the bearing capacity of the soil. So firstly, I have covered a standard penetration test. I have covered all the procedures, all the equipments taken for that. And yesterday only I have covered plate load test, how it is conducted, what are its limitations, what is the procedure, how forces are applied, how results are determined. And after that, I have covered the cone penetration test. Cone penetration tests are of two types, static and dynamic. If you all people are interested in going through, you should keep on revising these things and keep on solving numerical problems related to empirical formula and field methods. So in in mid semester we will put a cap on our syllabus to Unit 1 and Unit 2. Unit 1 is of slope stability, and slope stability is in finite slope and case history related to slope reduction measures. And in Unit 2, bearing capacity of foundation and vertical stresses on the soil. So now I will start with the vertical stresses on the soil. So stress distribution in the soil is due to two things: stresses in the soil due to the self weight and stresses in the soil due to the surface load. This topic you all people might have covered in Geotechnical Engineering 1, stresses in the soil due to self weight. So I will cover it little bit faster, and afterwards I will cover stresses in the soil due to surface loads. So stress due to self weight, you all people might have solved several numericals in such type of problem. The vertical stress on element A can be determined simply from the mass of the overlying. It is just like a revision of geotechnical engineering work. Overlying material, if gamma represent the unit weight of the soil, the vertical stress of sigma z is equal to gamma into z. So you can see the ground surface z below the depth A, gamma equal to unit weight of, so the variation of the stresses with the depth is sigma z equal to gamma into z. The stresses in a layered deposit. The stresses in a layered deposit consist of a layer of the soil with different densities. You can see in a figure, it is Z1, Z2, Z3 and total depth. So it is gamma 1 into H1, gamma 1 into H1 plus gamma 2 into H2, gamma 1 H1. So you all people might have solved such type of numerical problem in geotechnical engineering 1. This is just a review. Vertical stress at depth Z1 is equal to sigma Z1 into gamma into H1. Vertical stress at depth Z2 is sigma Z2 is equal to gamma 1 into H1 plus gamma 2 into H2. Vertical stress at Z3 is equal to gamma 1 into H1 plus gamma 2 into H2 plus gamma 3 into H3. And this is generalized formula for sigma Z. Is stress due to self weight with uniform surcharge on infinite land surface. This is the case when Q loading is conversion of land surface, original land surface, gamma is equal to unit weight. So Q is equal to gamma S. So the sigma Z becomes gamma into Z plus Q. Vertical stress due to self weight increases with the depth. There are three types of geostatic stress: total stress, effective stress and pore water pressure. Total vertical stress, consider a soil mass having a horizontal surface and with the water table at the water level, surface level. The total vertical stress at depth Z is equal to the weight of all materials, solids plus water per unit area above the depth, that is sigma Z total is gamma sat into Z. Pore water pressure, if the pores of the soil mass are filled with the water and if a pressure induced into the pore water tries to separate the grains, this pressure is termed as pore water pressure. The pore water pressure at any depth will be hydrostatic since the void spaces between the solid particles is continuous, and U is equal to gamma W into Z. Effective vertical stress due to self weight of the soil. The pressure transmitted through the grain to grain at a point contact grain at point contact through a soil mass is termed as effective pressure. The difference between the total stress sigma Z total and the pore water pressure in a saturated soil has been defined as by the Terzaghi as effective stress sigma Z dash. Sigma Z dash is equal to sigma Z total minus pore water pressure. Stresses in saturated soil. If water is seeping, the effective stress at any point in a soil mass will differ from that in a static case. It will increase or decrease depending on the direction of the seepage. The increasing in the effective pressure due to the flow of the water through the pores of the soil is known as seepage pressure. Stresses in a saturated soil without seepage. A column of a saturated soil mass with no seepage of the water in any direction. The total stress at the elevation point A can be obtained from saturated unit weight of the soil and the unit of the water above it. Thus, you can see clearly all these diagrams, and you might have gone through these topics in geotechnical engineering also. The stresses in the, so we are continuing the same thing. So sigma Z become gamma WH plus HA minus H into gamma SAT. where sigma z is equal to total stress at the elevation of the point A, gamma z is saturated unit weight of the soil, Ha is the distance between the point A and the water table, and this is how the force is acting at a point of contact with the soil particle at the level of a point A. Stresses in a saturated soil without seepage. Stress at a point A, total stress sigma A is equal to gamma WH1, over water pressure U is equal to gamma WH1, effective stress is equal to sigma dash A is equal to sigma total stress at A minus over water pressure A is equal to 0. Stress at point B, total V sigma V is equal to gamma WH1 plus H2 into gamma sat, over water pressure UV is equal to H1 plus H2 into gamma W, and effective stress sigma V dash is equal to H2 into gamma submerged. So this is the pressure diagram. Stress at point C is equal to sigma C is equal to total stress, sigma C is equal to gamma WH1 plus Z into gamma sat, and pore water pressure is equal to H1 plus UC is equal to H1 plus Z into gamma W. Effective stress sigma effective is equal to sigma C minus pore water pressure, sigma C is equal to Z into gamma submerged. So in this diagram also you can see that at H1, the triangular variation H1 gamma W, H1 gamma total stress diagram, H1 gamma plus Z gamma sat, H1 gamma W, H2 gamma sat, pore water pressure H1 gamma W, H1 plus Z gamma W, H1 plus H, H2 gamma submerged, Z gamma submerged, and at H1 height it is 0. The stress in a saturated soil with upward seepage. These all are piezometers which are measuring the pressures. We are providing piezometer at the point A to determine the head, and at C we are putting a piezometer to determine the head. So these pipe which people are seeing, these are known as piezometers. So stresses at point A, total stress is equal to sigma A is equal to gamma WH1, pore water pressure is UA is equal to gamma WH1, effective stress sigma A dash is equal to sigma A minus UA is equal to 0. Stresses in the saturated soil with upward seepage. Stress at point B, total stress is equal to sigma B is equal to gamma WH1 plus H2 into gamma sat, pore water pressure UB is equal to H1 plus H2 plus H into gamma W. Effective stress sigma B dash is equal to sigma B minus UB, and sigma B dash is equal to H2 into gamma submerged minus H gamma W. So stresses in a saturated soil with a seepage, upward seepage, stress at the point C. Wait for a minute, I'm just going. Total stress sigma C is equal to gamma WH1 plus Z into gamma sat, pore water pressure is equal to UB is equal to H1 plus H1 plus Z plus a small h upon H2 into Z into gamma W, and sigma C effective stress is equal to total stress minus pore water pressure. So sigma C effective is equal to Z into gamma submerged minus small h upon H2 into Z upon gamma W. Note that h upon H2 is the hydraulic gradient denoted by small I caused by the flow, and therefore sigma C effective stress is equal to small z into gamma submerged minus I Z gamma W. And this is the pressure distribution diagram. At any depth, small z into gamma submerged is the pressure of the submerged soil mass, submerged soil acting downward, and Iz gamma W is the seepage pressure acting upward. The effective pressure sigma C effective reduces to 0. These two pressure balance. Sigma C effective is equal to small z into gamma submerged minus ICR Z gamma W is equal to 0. This situation is generally referred to as boiling. I critical is equal to gamma submerged upon gamma W, and I critical is the ICR is equal to critical hydraulic gradient. For most of the soil, the I critical value varies from 0.9 to 1.1. Stresses in the saturated soil with a downward seepage. Total stress at a point A is gamma WH1, pore water pressure is equal to gamma WH1, and effective stress is equal to 0. At the point B, total stress is gamma W H1 plus H2 into gamma psi. Core water pressure is equal to H1 plus H2 minus gamma W. Effective stress is equal to sigma B minus UB, and that is equal to H2 into gamma submerged plus H into gamma W. And total stress is equal to at C is equal to gamma W H1 plus Z into gamma psi. UB is equal to H1 plus Z minus H upon H2 into Z into gamma W, and sigma C effective is equal to Z into gamma submerged into I into gamma W, I Z into gamma W. And this is the pressure diagram. Your people should, I think your people might have solved several numerical problem in geotechnical engineering in such conditions. Yeah, these are some work example. You will certainly you will get. You should know to solve these problems. Now this is the actually this is the part which I have to discuss, and this is the new thing which your people might have not gone through in unit geotechnical engineering 1, and this part is being covered in unit 2, vertical stress due to the surface load. Introduction. To analyze the problem such as compressibility of the soil, you all people have gone through the compressibility chapter, that is consolidation of the soil. You all people have gone through the bearing capacity of foundation, stability of embankment also. Stability of embankment means slope stability chapter. You have also gone through the lateral earth pressure chapter, lateral pressure on the earth retaining structure. So all 4 chapters are being covered by you all people, and I think you all people might have certain basic knowledge of these chapters, like how consolidation parameters are determined, AV, NV, how the settlement is determined, delta H value is determined with the consolidation properties, how consolidation test is being carried out, so how coefficient of consolidation and coefficient of all those things are, you might have solved several numerical problem. So these things are literally related to the field application part, how bearing capacity of foundation is, how stability of embankment is determined, how you determine the lateral pressure on the earth's retaining structure. So we know the nature of the distribution of the stresses along the given cross section of the soil profile. When a load is applied to the soil surface, it increases vertically. It increases the vertical stresses within the soil mass. The increased stress are greatest directly under the loaded area, but extends indefinitely in all directions. Allowable settlement usually set by the building codes may control the allowable bearing capacity. The vertical stress increase with the depth must be determined to calculate the amount of settlement that a foundation may undergo. Foundation and the structure placed on the surface of the earth will provide stresses in the soil. These stresses will decrease the distance from the load, will decrease with the distance from the load. How these stresses decrease depends upon the nature of the soil bearing the load. Individual column, footing or wheel loads may be replaced by equivalent point load, provided that the stresses are to be calculated at the point sufficiently far from the points of application of the point load. So stresses due to concentrated load, actually there are 2 theories in surface load. One is Boussinesq's theory and the second one is Westergaard theory. But vertical stress due to concentrated load are always calculated by these 2 theories, Boussinesq's theory and Westergaard theory. Boussinesq's formula for the point load. Joseph Valentin Boussinesq is a scientist. 13 March 1842 to 19 February 1929 was a French mathematician and a physicist who made significant contribution to the theory of hydrodynamics, vibration, light and heat. In 1885, Boussinesq developed the mathematical relationship for determining the normal and shear stress at any point inside a homogeneous, elastic and isotropic mediums due to the concentrated point load loaded at the surface. Assumptions. These assumptions are very important. The soil mass is elastic, isotropic, isotropic mean having identical properties in all directions throughout, homogeneous, identical elastic properties. So what do you mean by isotropic? It means having identical properties in all directions throughout, homogeneous, identical elastic properties, and semi-infinite depth, and soil is weightless. Actually, sometimes you get a short questions in any type of competitive exams with these assumptions also. The distribution of the sigma z in the elastic medium is apparently radially symmetrical. The stresses the stresses is infinite at the surface directly beneath the point load and decreases with the square of the depth. At any given non-zero radius small r from the point of load application, the vertical stress is zero. At the surface, increases to a maximum value at a depth where theta is equal to 39.25 degree approximately, and then decreases with the depth. So you can go through BC Phenomena also very clearly. It is given. You should go through the derivation of all these things because it is not easy to tell the derivation part in online mode. You also will have to go through and take some pain to solve and how you are getting these formulas. According to Boussinesq analysis, the vertical stress increases at point A caused by a point load of magnitude P is given by. So if you are applying the point load P over here, it is a y dimension, it is a x dimension. The radial distance between point A and the load of application is capital R. Capital R, this is a small r. So this is how formula is derived. See? So according to Boussinesq analysis, vertical stress increase at a point A caused by the point load magnitude capital P is given by sigma z is equal to 3 capital P upon 2 pi z square 1 upon 1 plus small r pi z का whole square की power 5 by 2 और sigma z upon P upon z square into IB. IB is the Boussinesq coefficient. So you all people have to know here this P is the load of application, this Z is the depth of foundation, this is the radial distance capital R, and this R can be easily tabulated if you know Z, if you know R, or if you know this R. So in question sometime this R, this is small r, and this Z is always given. This is small z and in this small r will be given in the question. So with the help of trigonometry, you all people can calculate the value of capital R. And after that, this P is also known to you all people, and after that this is concentrated load. So with the help of this formula, you all people can determine the value of effective vertical stress at point A, where IB is equal to 3 upon 2 pi 1 upon 1 plus r by z का whole square. Equation shows that vertical stress is directly proportional to the load, inversely proportional to the depth squared, and proportional to the sum function of r by z. It should be noted that expression for z is independent of elastic modulus capital E and Poisson's ratio mu, that is the stress increases with the depth is a function of geometry. So this influence factor IB chart is also given depending upon r by capital Z ratio. Pressure distribution diagram. Equation may be used to draw three types of pressure distribution. The three types of pressure distribution diagram. They are the vertical stresses distribution on a horizontal plane of depth of a small z below the ground surface. The vertical stress distribution on a vertical plane at a distance of small r, the load point, and the stress isobar. The vertical distribution of horizontal plane. The vertical stress distribution in a horizontal plane at a depth of small z below the ground surface, and the vertical stress distribution on a vertical plane at a distance of small r from the point load. So these are the way how load are being distributed in a horizontal plane and vertical plane. And these are the stress isobars. An isobar is a line which connects all points of equal stress below the ground surface. In other words, it is a stress contour. So you should solve this problem with the help of that formula. Actually, you can see what is the vertical stress at point A for a given figure. Two loads P1 and P2 is given. P1 and P2 is given. Capital Z is given. R1 and R2 is given. So for P1 you can P1 with the help of the previous formula you can calculate sigma ZA1 and sigma ZA2, and after that you will add those forces. So The four concentrated forces are located at the corner of a rectangular area with a dimension of 8 by 6 meter as shown in a figure. In the next slide, compute the vertical stresses at A and B, which are located on the line AA and BB at the depth of 4 meter below the. Let us see this problem. So, load of 700 kilonewton, 700 kilonewton, 700 kilometer is given. A capital Z is given. ठीक. So now see how these people are solving this problem. Capital. How we will going to solve this problem? For this one 700 kilonewton load, the R value will become, small r value will become 0, and capital R value will also become 0. It is directly beneath the so you will, and Z value is 4, small z value is 4. So you can calculate the value of sigma ZA1 for this 7 kilonewton load. Now I am talking about this 7 kilonewton load. So for this value, R value will become 6 meter. R value will become 6 meter. Z value, small z value will become 4. So you can calculate with the help of trigonometry capital R. With the help of trigonometry, you will calculate capital R. Once you will get small z, small r, and capital R, you can easily calculate with the help of previous Bose-Einstein formula. And for this 700 kilonewton, the 700 kilonewton, the value of R, this is the value of a small r. This diagonal is the value of a small r, and this Z is a small depth. You can calculate with the help of trigonometry also. Capital R. In this case also you can calculate the value of capital R once you get the, and similar is the case of this 7 kilonewton also. The value of a small r is 8 and the value of Z is, so similarly you can, now after getting the value of sigma Z A1, sigma Z A2, sigma Z A3, sigma Z A4, you will add sigma Z A1 is equal to sigma Z A1 plus A2 plus A3 plus A4, you will get the value of sigma Z A1. Similarly you can do the things for getting vertical pressure at B also. Westergaard proposed a formula for the computation of the vertical sigma for a point load at a P surface. The formula changes for sigma Z equal to P into A, 2 pi Z square, A square plus R by Z का whole square की power 3 by 2. A is equal to under root 1 minus 2 mu upon 2 minus 2 mu, in which mu is the Poisson's ratio. This is the same case of the concentrated load, but the formula changes. The incorporation of the mu takes place at Westergaard equation. So this is the difference between one very good question also arises: what are the assumptions in Bose-Einstein theory? What are the assumptions in Westergaard theory? What are the differences between Bose-Einstein and Westergaard theories? You all people have to learn how to derive these formulas, and also you should remember these formulas to solve the numerical problems. Stresses below a line load. The vertical stress increases due to the line load sigma Z inside the soil mass can be determined by using the principle of theory of elasticity. Sigma Z is equal to 2q Z cube pi x square plus Z square की power whole square. This is q per unit length. This is x. This is Z. So this equation can be written as sigma Z 2 by Z is equal to 2 upon pi into 1 plus x by Z the whole square. So in these all formulas, you all people have to remember what is capital R, what is a small r, what is x. You should remember these. Once you will derive these formulas by your own, only a single time, and you will solve 2 to 3 good numerical problems on these problems. These cases, you will certainly come to know that this is very easy topic. You can score very good marks in these. Most of the time the topic which is covered in geotechnical engineering 2 is numerical based, whether it's a slope stability topics. You first of all learn to how the derivation of formula is taking place, then solve 2 to 3 numerical problems like for infinite scope, for Taylor stability number, for Bishop, and similar is the case for bearing capacity also. Go through the Terzaghi bearing capacity equation for all types of foundation, solve 1 or 2 numerical problem, put the effect of water table, effect of eccentricity, solve 2 3 problem on layered soil, 2 3 problem on slopes, and solve 1 or 2 problem on Brinch-Hansen, solve 1 or 2 problem on Weijek's equation, solve 1 or 2 problem on IS code. Don't solve many questions, but solve at least 1 to 3 problem, good numerical problem, to get the idea of how which types of questions are coming in a competitive exam. And after solving 2 to 3 problems, you all people will develop a confidence in yourself only. So you will come to know these topics are not very much difficult. And then to understand the theory part, you should go through little bit theory part also, and try to learn the basic. Most important thing is geotechnical engineering. Try to learn the field application of the all the topics. Vertical stresses by a horizontal line load. The vertical stresses increase sigma z at a point capital A in a soil mass increased by horizontal line load can be given as sigma z is equal to 2q x z square upon pi x square plus z square e power 4. So this is the x distance, and this is small z. Vertical stress caused by the strip load. The term strip loading will be used to indicate the loading that has a finite width along the x-axis but an infinite length along y-axis. The fundamental equation for the vertical stress increases at a point in a soil mass as a result of a line load can be used to determine the vertical stress at a point caused by flexible strip load of the width capital B. So vertical stress caused by the strip load, vertical stress at a point capital A can be determined by the equation sigma z is equal to q naught upon pi alpha plus sine alpha cos alpha plus 2 beta. This is small z, this is capital B, width of the strip loading, this is alpha, and this is beta. All these things will be given in a question. You can see the numerical problem once you are going to. Let us take an example of this problem. Refer to the figure below. The magnitude of the strip loading is 120 km Pascal. Calculate the vertical at A, B, and C. So try to solve these problems at home. If you are not getting these problems very easily, contact me. I will solve it. I will tell to solve you all these. Once you will try, you will certainly come to know these formulas are not very. Also solve this problem also. So vertical stress due to uniformly circulated area. Under the center, the increase in the vertical stress sigma z at the depth z point capital A under the center of the circular area for diameter d is equal to QR carrying a uniform pressure Q is given by sigma z is equal to Q into 1 minus 1 upon R capital R by Z 1 plus 1 की power 3 by 2. This is a diagram for circular loading. The increase in vertical stress at any point located at depth at any distance r from the center of the loaded area is sigma z is equal to q into a dash plus b dash, where a dash and b dash are the function of z upon r and r upon r. So this is the case. This is the variation of the a dash with z upon r and r upon r. So now vertical stresses caused by the, so students, first you all people go through these topics. Other topics will be covered by me tomorrow onwards. Try to solve the numerical problem on these uh, concentrated loading for Westergaard with the help of Westergaard formula and Boussinesq formula, for line load or strip load, for circular loading. Try to solve the numerical problem. After that, I will discuss rectangular loading uh, and two vertical approximate method, Newmark method. Three methods are left. Rectangular. So you all people, first of all, you carry all the with the help of Boussinesq and Westergaard theory. You all people cover for the concentrated point load, for line load, for strip load and circular loading. And afterwards, I will cover for rectangular loading, approximate method and Newmark method. So thank you for listening, for your patience listening. Thank you once again. If you are having any problem regarding the subject, feel free to clarify it.